I had a near-death experience 48 years ago and recently relived it in a dream. I was sick for a long time. Despite seeing numerous doctors, nobody had a diagnosis. On Friday, I was taken to a different town with different doctors. Saturday morning, the doctor came in to check on me and found that I needed exploratory surgery immediately. During surgery they found a ruptured appendix and ruptured cyst on my ovary. I was also filled with peritonitis throughout my body. After trying their best to take care of everything, they started to see my vitals dropping. They gave me a shot in my heart and roughly closed me up. I was put into a room next to the nurse's station so they could keep an eye on me. The 4 in my arm was only adding to the edema as my body was shutting down. A roommate was brought into my room as she needed to be watched also. I was sleeping and woke up during the night to her hollering for help. The nurses came in to help and then removed her. Just then, I heard the sound of a soft cymbal and someone called my name. Until that time, I was only addressed by the title of Mrs. and my last name. Then I felt myself slowly floating up with no pain. It was so beautiful as the lights that surrounded me were like watching the aurora borealis. As I moved up, I spotted a small black speck about the size of a piece of pepper. But it seemed to be so out of place that I couldn't take my eyes off of it. The lights went away and I felt like I was lying on grass. I was still fixated on the black spot and knew that I had to see what it was. My pain returned and I felt so weak. I tried to crawl forward but could only move an inch or so at a time. But when I did move closer, the spot got bigger. After what seemed like a very long time, the spot began to take on the form of a man. This figure and I came to a momentary stop. Then, I took a deep breath and forced myself to move one more time. It was then that the figure moved closer to me. The ground lit up and I saw 2 arms coming down towards me. As the hands opened up, I could see big scars in his hands. I fell back down but knew now that I had to look up higher. Bolstering all the strength that I could, I moved my head and upper body up to see who this was. He was bending down slightly and I could see where the bright light was coming from. His face was so bright, it almost took my breath away. I knew then that I was looking at Jesus. I could see the hem of his garment and his sandals. I remembered the lady in the Bible that had been sick for a very long time and she knew that if she could just touch Jesus that she would be healed. Fighting through a crowd she reached out and touched him. He felt it and turned and told her she was healed. I looked at the hem of his garment and knew that I too was going to be healed. I reached out with my right arm and touched it. Immediately, I felt a warmth flow throughout my body. The next thing I knew was that I was in my bed and I saw a soft glow at the end of my bed. I heard a soft voice was singing the song, "I Saw a Man." It sounds like the version by Connie Smith. Then the nurses came running in. The first nurse took my vitals and rechecked them as she told the other nurse that they were all normal. She replied, "Not bad for someone that just flatlined." All I could think of was that I needed to use the restroom now. They laughed and took care of me. They kept me for observation for another 3 days. The doctor told my husband to keep a close eye on me because I could still have problems. He didn't quite know what to say. It has been a very long time since this happened. The surgery was not completed. They couldn't get my body to accept medication from the 4, yet I still was full of infection. I was only kept for observation. The only follow-up after I left the hospital was to have all the stitches removed. The doctor said that I was one lucky lady. At that time you didn't say much about healings or they would have sent you to a psychiatrist. So I didn't say much to him. I was asked many times to tell my story in churches, but even there I encountered doubters. I can tell you I saw Jesus, I was in heaven, and I am in sound mind. I have been blessed beyond measure with good health ever since I touched the hem of Jesus' garment. I saw his sandals and the effort he put into my healing. I saw his glowing face and knew without a shadow of doubt I was with Jesus. Skeptics can't say I was drugged because my body had not received meds due to still shutting down. I was 34 years old at the time and I am 82 now. My doctor is amazed even now how unusually healthy I am for my age. The message I received through all this is in the song. Jesus says, "If I be lifted up, I will draw all men to me." I have tried to do just that and my life has been blessed and I have seen many miracles during that time. I know what he means by lifting him up by loving him and others.